Hi guys, it's Megan from Disney Fast Forward, and I'm here to provide some hot tips if you're planning a trip to Aulani last minute. Hot tip number 1. You need to make dining reservations at Aulani 30 days in advance. Now, if you're like me and you're planning a trip last minute, then you might have missed this deadline, but have no fear. I did the hard thing and I called every single day to see if I could get myself into the Makahiki character dining, which in my opinion is the number one character dining that you must do if you go to Aulani. And I say that because it is an experience rather than for the food. The experience itself for children is wonderful. It is so much fun. You get pictures with Mickey and you get pictures with all the characters. Is the food good? No, the food's not good. So just go into it knowing that the food's not great. The only thing I've heard is good is perhaps the pancakes, but we did not try that. All of our food was pretty rough, as most of the food at Aulani is, but regardless, you want to have this reservation. So here's how you do it last minute. The morning that you want to go to Makahiki character dining, what you need to do is you need to go to a standby line at 6:45 in the morning. That sounds early, but if you have littles, then you're up anyways. So what I did is I went and I stood in this standby line at 6:45, and they take your name, and if there is a cancellation, they text you when it happens, and you can get there in time to take that cancellation. As it happened for me, and mind you, this is the week of Thanksgiving, so it was really crowded. When I waited in that line, I was second in line, and the hostess said to us, "Well, can you come now? Or can you come at 7:30? And I said, yes, sure, we'll come at 7:30. I ran back upstairs and I grabbed the rest of my family. So it worked out great. We got in right away. It was not a problem not to have that reservation, but at 6:45 every morning, you want to go get in that line. Now, when you walk into Makahiki, the line to the left is going to be the line for reservations. If you have a reservation, that is a long line that you must stand in to check in. Don't stand in that line if you're looking to be put on the list. Go to the hostess on the right. She's the one who's going to be, or he, the one who's going to be able to add you to the standby list and or just give you a reservation right then and there. Dining tip number 2. The food at Aulani is not good. Now, I say that as somebody who is pretty lax about food. I will eat pretty much anything. My kids will eat hot dogs, they'll eat hamburgers. We all struggled with eating at Aulani, and this goes across every restaurant that they had. Makahiki, ama, the poolside dining in particular was really, really not good. I will say Ulu Cafe, which is their convenience store / cafeteria, that had the best food for us, but only because it had little bowls of Cheerios and milk. It had simple food like a turkey wrap. Those items were the best to eat. All the food that we tried from the poolside dining when they deliver it to you when you're sitting by the pool, that food was not good. My kids wouldn't even eat the hot dog. I will say that the shrimp seemed like it was previously frozen. It was rubbery on our salads and on the shrimp tacos. The fish was not good in general. I even tried a burger. I couldn't eat it. Even the French fries were not great. So go to Aulani knowing that. Be armed with that knowledge and prepare ahead of time. What I would recommend is go stop at a store before you go to Aulani. And we had a hotel room, which meant we just only had a mini fridge. Even with that mini fridge, I could have put milk into the fridge. I could have had bags of Cheerios, snacks in the room, things that we do like to eat, especially for breakfast and lunch. For dinner, I'd get off campus. Go across the street, and there is a Roy's at a golf course that is amazing, and it's walking distance from the resort. It's great. There is also a monkey pod that is across the street. I've been told that is also wonderful by people who work at Aulani, which says a lot. If they aren't pushing their own food and they're saying that they'd rather go to monkey pod, then you know there's a problem with the dining at Aulani. Other dining options for dinner are going to be at the Four Seasons right next door. So you can walk on over and go to Mina's, which is a very famous chef from the Bay Area. There's Mina's Fish House there. And then there is the best dinner we had was Noe. and that is also in the Four Seasons, and it was spectacular Italian food. So I would say get off campus, even go on excursions and get food off campus if you can, because you'll just be happier than eating the things that they're serving at Aulani. Dining tip number 3. They sell at Ulu Cafe refillable popcorn buckets. This is supposed to be akin to the popcorn that you get in the theme parks. It is not. It is dry. It is not exactly the same thing. However, popcorn is a major food group in my entire family, so I got one of these buckets, and for $3 each time, you can go back and you can refill this bucket as many times as you want while you're on your trip. We ended up eating popcorn every single day because of this little trick, and it was a great little snack, even though it wasn't as good as the popcorn you get at a theme park. My next dining tip is that Ulu Cafe and other select places around the resort sell these refillable Aulani mugs, and you can use this Aulani mug to put anything you want into for the duration of your trip if you purchase the mug. So we got these the first day for my husband and I, and it includes things like coffee, tea. There was soda machines both outside of Ulu Cafe and behind Off the Hook restaurant that you go to, and you can refill with water, sparkling waters, any type of soda. There were a ton of options you could refill with. They also sold mugs that were probably half the price. This was $32. There are also $18 mugs that have handles but are just plastic and not really good for hot beverages. I would imagine that would be very good for a kid that perhaps can keep track of his or her own drink. It's not the sort of mug where you'd want to throw it into your beach bag and go because it would spill. So because of that, we didn't purchase it for our kids, but we did purchase these for ourselves so that we could have coffee in the morning. One other little tip is that Aulani does not have alternative milk on their campus. If you want alternative milk for your coffee, such as almond milk, you have to go to the bar area at Off the Hook and ask to use their milk behind the bar. That's the only thing that they had, rather than everywhere else there was milk from dairy milk being sold everywhere. So you could buy that. If you're good with that, then that's great. But if you need alternative milk, bring it with you, because otherwise you're going to have to go bother the bar staff like I did 100 times a day to ask for more almond milk for your coffee. One more tip is to make sure you download the Aulani app before you get to the resort. This served us 2 purposes, and I just want to make sure you know about them before you get there. One is that there is an option to get into your room using your app, and you have to check in ahead of time in order to do this. But once you check in on your app and you say, yes, I'm coming, and they say you're checked in, then you have a special button that you can push on your front page that allows you to get into your room directly. So that means you don't have to go to that front desk and wait in that long line to go check in when you get to the resort. You can go straight to the room. It's already been assigned to you, and you go to that room, and then you just pull out your app and you hold your phone up to the door fob, and it allows you to go right into your room. And this is one of the few places where this technology actually works, and it worked the first time. I've used this at other resorts at Disney World, and Disneyland doesn't have it yet, but at Disney World it's hit and miss. This one actually works, and so make sure you have that downloaded ahead of time so that you can see what room you have assigned to you. You can check in, and then you can use that technology to help you get into your room without having to go check in through the front desk. The other thing you can do on that app is that you can see where all the characters are going to be for that day. So when you look through, you can see where all the characters are going to be. It tells you what time. How this works is that character just shows up at that time and in that place, and there's usually a line that you must stand in to go take your pictures with the character or to go meet and greet with the character. There are fantastic experiences to be had, both scheduled like this and off schedule. We ran into Donald Duck, who is a very hard character to see at other places like theme parks, especially on a one-on-one basis. He was just walking around the resort while we were there, and we got to see him have a hissy fit and get into a fight with a lifeguard, and It was hysterical. My kids were like crying, laughing at what Donald Duck was doing. It was the best. So there are lots of like spontaneous experiences like this with characters, and there's also ones that you can line up for and you can go see. There's also experiences that you can sign up for, like hair braiding and things like that. You sign up for all those things on the app. Now, don't fret if you wake up in the morning and you see there's no characters on the schedule. They don't really pop up till like 10 o'clock in the morning, but then after that, you can see where all the characters are going to be, and some of them populate throughout the day. So keep checking that app and keep seeing if there's any characters that you want to see for that day. So my next hot tip is if you're going during a very crowded time of the year, we were there over the week of Thanksgiving, so it was very crowded, you may want to have a cabana. Now, these book up in advance. So if you're planning your trip last minute, you might think to yourself, well, I just lost out, but you didn't. The day before you want your cabana, and this happens to happen every day, so we did this multiple days in a row, but the day before you want your cabana, you go to the Rainbow Reef, which is next to the pool area, and it's where you go swimming with the fishies and go snorkeling in the man-made reef. The Rainbow Reef will put your name on a standby list. And as people call and cancel their cabanas for the next day, they call you and you get to fill the cancellation. This worked for, I would say, 3 out of the 4 days that we did this. We got a cabana the very next day. So don't fret if you didn't get your cabana in time. Is the cabana worth it? Yes, it is worth it. For us, it was $550 a day, which sounds very expensive even for Disney, but it was Thanksgiving week, and apparently it's a sliding scale depending on how much demand there is for the cabanas. But it got us reserved seats for the pool for the duration of the day. And on top of that, it got us an amazing fruit platter. I just got done complaining about the food, but the fruit is fantastic. The fruit platter is huge. It's fresh. It comes to you cold while you're sitting at your cabana. And then they also bring you a wonderful dessert tray later in the afternoon. And also just continually bring you things like towels and pool service for food, which if you want to have that, then there you go. You get it much easier because the attendants come by and check in on you. And you can also call them to come to your cabana. So it was expensive, but not as expensive as other resorts we go to in Hawaii. So in comparison, the Grand Wailea is about $1,200 a day for a cabana. So we do those much more sparingly. But it was very, very crowded, and we could tell it was going to be worth it to have seats reserved for us by the pool area. That brings me to the next tip, which is that the Rainbow Reef is wonderful. You might think to yourself, man-made reef, really? They stock it with the most amazing, cool fish, and there are so many of them. Now, you can get a snorkel pass for the duration of your trip, and it was only like $35. It was totally worth it, and my daughter went in that reef probably 5 times a day. The staff all knew her by the time we left. She would snorkel all the time, and it was wonderful. There's also a snuba experience that you can sign up for on Mondays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. You want to do that. It is so much fun. My daughter and my husband loved it. If you don't know what snuba is, go to my other video and take a look at some of the footage that I have there. But it's sort of a face mask that you have over. It's sort of in between scuba and snorkeling. So it kind of is good for kids that are between ages 8 and 10. You must be 10 to actually do the scuba experience. So my daughter was disappointed by that, but this was a good substitute. The trick to the snuba experience is, first, it only happens twice a week. Second, you can only sign up in person. So whenever you get there for your trip, go straight to that Rainbow Reef. Do a few things. Sign up for that snuba experience. Get your reef pass for snorkeling. And ask for the next day if there's any cabanas available, and if not, put me on the inquiry list, please. My next hot tip is that the beach is very tame. It is a man-made sort of cove that they've created with rocks that breaks the waves coming in from the west, which is smart because those are pretty big waves. However, the sand makes the water very murky, so it's not great for snorkeling right there, right on campus. And the water is very, 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 very tame and small. So when it's very crowded, you can go out in that water, but you're going to be on top of other people. There's also some water sports that you can do there, but it's not as much fun as if you're at a different beach that's a little bit more natural made. And I would say go ahead and try it out, but it's not going to be the same beach experience you've probably had at other resorts in Hawaii. It's more of like the Disney experience of being very tame and good for little kids, but maybe not as exciting for other people. So because of that, I would highly recommend that you get off campus and make excursion reservations ahead of time. The concierge at Aulani can help you make those reservations and give you suggestions, but that's one thing I wish we would have done. We could have done that the day of or the day before, but getting off and doing some excursions, going out on a boat to go snorkeling or go to Diamond Head for a day or go to different beaches to go explore. Just staying there and doing that beach is probably good for really small babies and adults with really small babies. But other than that, if you're looking for a more Hawaiian beach experience, you're not really going to find it at Aulani. Next hot tip is for Auntie's Beach House. Now, people can make reservations for their kids at Auntie's Beach House 30 days in advance. There are both free offerings that last about an hour and a half, and there are paid offerings that last almost 3 hours sometimes. And they are supposed to be a lot of fun for kids. You can sign your kids up for this. There is a cap on the number of kids allowed in each experience, so you want to get to them quickly. However, we signed our kids up pretty easily, not 30 days in advance, like a few days in advance. And then when I got there, I wasn't able to actually see where my kids were going to be, so I wasn't quite comfortable with that, and I canceled all my reservations. But that said, that means that other parents who showed up the day of were able to take my spot no problem. And they were very gracious about allowing me to cancel. And I imagine that opened up spots for other people who didn't make advanced reservations. So if you don't get those advanced reservations, then don't worry, don't fret. You can still get them the day of or even the day before. Just walk in and see if anybody's canceled and take that spot. Okay, my last hot tip is that the shopping at the spa area is the best shopping for special items. There are a couple of stores that sell toys and sell some things here and there. They're not as big as I would expect them to be. Given that it was a Disney resort, I sort of expected a little bit more merchandise to be able to be purchased, but then I found out that there is a kids spa area and there's an adult spa area. And the adult spa area has lots of fantastic little soaps and nighties and really cute, luxurious things you can purchase for presents or for yourself. There were really adorable boutique-y things that you could purchase at the kids spa area. Things that were just very special that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. I felt like I was shopping through a boutique, and all my kids picked out a bunch of mermaid items and things to wear that are just sparkly from head to toe and just very, very special. So I would say make sure you don't miss that shopping. I almost missed it because I thought it was just a spa. It's not. Make sure you go into both of those areas, go look for where they are, and find them and make sure you go see what merchandise they have for sale there. It's wonderful. And if you're a DVC member, you do get a 10% discount on all your purchases and all your shopping when you're shopping at all of those stores. Those are my top tips for going to Aulani last minute. Thanks for joining me on Disney Fast Forward. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get more videos like this. Hey.